everyone. I'm Nicole, and I am an artist. The picture behind me, um, it is a picture that I painted, and it also has some elements of collage in it. So you see like some ripped paper, but the center, the green part, is represents the earth, the world, and within there are a whole bunch of different words. So one love is the one that you can probably see the easiest from where you are, but it also says like unity, community, healing, peace, love, all throughout. And when I painted this, it was in 2020. We all know what was happening in 2020, and I was in my doctoral program at the time. Um and I was just tired and stressed and emotional from everything that was happening. And I had a dream one night. And in the dream, I saw like the earth, and I saw just like, the circles and squares to me kind of represent like buildings, cities, things like that. And so I saw that, and I just saw it representing just how much divine power, love, community, like that's what the intent is for the earth, for the world. And that was kind of what was happening in my dreams. And I just woke up and I started painting and ripping paper and collaging and putting it together. And it has now become one of the favorite paintings that I have done. And so I use it as the backdrop when I'm on talking to people. But yeah, that's what it is.
Awesome. Now tell listeners where they can buy a replica of that.
Oh man. It used to be up on my website. It is not currently, but I am in the process of making journals and stickers and magnets out of that painting. So I promise, I will, as soon as all of that is ready to go, I will put it up on my Substack so that you can see it. It is absolutely one of my most favorite paintings that I have done.
Mine too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It symbolizes peace,
Mhm.
love, community.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And it was created from a dream.
hmm It
Now
was.
this dream came about way before then. Now tell us about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, for me, okay. Let me first start by saying my Substack is called Mosaic Life. The reason why it's called Mosaic Life is because I was taken on a journey. I feel like God took me on a journey of using art to speak to me because, he uses what we're drawn to already to speak to us. And I am an artist. And so he used art in so many ways in my life to bring healing, to bring messages to me, to bring, things that he wanted me to do came through art. So I absolutely love mosaics. And I don't make them, but I love them. I love looking at them. They're beautiful. I love all of the symbolism that they carry. So the many pieces that you find in a piece of art that is a mosaic represents to me the many pieces that we all make up in the world are us as individuals. There's like, if you look at a mosaic piece of art and there's a piece missing, you can see it, right? You can see that empty spot and you're like, "Oh, something happened to that piece." That, there's a piece missing. And I feel that way about us in the world. If you don't show up as your full authentic self, there's a piece that we're missing, a piece that is supposed to be there. And then to take that a step further, there's pieces of us, individuals, pieces of us, pieces of our lives, situations, experiences that we've had that make us up as individuals. And I believe that each of us is a mosaic, each of us is a masterpiece. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. I changed my Substack name like 5 times, y'all. Like I couldn't, I was like, it was like I was grabbing at pieces of myself. I was grabbing like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I wanna show up this way. Oh, I wanna show up this way. I wanna show up this way." And then I finally was like, "You know what? I can't do this anymore. I just need to show up as myself. I just need to show up
Hmm.
as my full self." And
Oh,
I felt
yes.
like Mosaic Life encompassed that because there's many pieces of me. You might see me showing up as an artist one day, and the next day you're seeing me show up as the coach. I'm a mental health coach. So you see me showing up and I'm coaching people. Or one day I'm writing poetry just because I want to share my heart with you. So I wanted to be able to not lock myself in and I didn't wanna have 50 million Substacks.
Okay.
Like, I can't do it. So, Mosaic Life, you're gonna get a little bit of all of me.
Who wouldn't want that?
Well well, thank you.
Now, talk to us a little bit more about the symbolism
Mhm.
of Mosaic Life. Mosaic
Yeah,
and Mosaic Life. Okay.
yeah, mosaics are so beautiful. If you have never really paid attention to them, I encourage you to just go do like a little Google search and just like look at them because I feel like they speak even if it's not like even if you look at a mosaic and you're like, "Oh, it's a mosaic of a tree." And that doesn't really move you. If you really, really look at it and like concentrate, like, the different pieces, look at the shapes, look at the sizes, look at the colors. Another thing that I love about it, and this is not all mosaics, because some mosaics are not made of broken things, but a lot of them are
Hmm.
made of broken glass or broken stone, and I love that because I've been broken, right? So many of us have been broken. I have been broken by grief. My heart has been shattered multiple, multiple times. Like, if we had time to sit here and talk about all the ways that I have experienced grief in my life and that it has shattered me. And then the disappointments in life and the things that we care and then when you have the grief, on top of disappointment, on top of this, and then on top of whatever else might be happening in the world around us, because we know our world is traumatizing just as it is. Like,
Okay.
if nothing else happened in your personal life, just living in the world itself can be traumatizing. And so, I love the idea that we can still take all of that brokenness, bring it together, and form this beautiful masterpiece that is this mosaic. And that's really what my life has been about is me going through seasons of self-awareness, of healing, there were some spaces in my life that were hard to look at. And it was like, I don't even want to think about that anymore. I don't want to deal with that anymore. And that's okay. It was okay in that season, right? But now being on the other side of things, now I'm being able to look at, oh, you know what? There was so much gold in that season. There was so much that came out of like, for example, my father. My father, my I'm so sorry that you guys don't get to know my dad. My dad was one of the most amazing men that that I have ever known. And he was like his heart was bigger than life. His smile would light up a room. And dad, he was diagnosed with brain cancer when I was 8 years old. And the doctors told he and my mom that he had 6 months to live. Now, of course, that's not something that my mom told myself, and I had a younger sister. She was 4 years younger. So 4 and 8. I was 8. Of course, that's not something that they shared with us, but we knew daddy was sick and we knew that there were some things that were changing in our home and in our lives to deal with what my dad had to deal with. Now, the beautiful thing about that is my dad did not pass away in 6 months, right? My dad fought. We fought in prayer. We fought in the way that he was eating and being medicated and all of these things. So coming out of that, um, though he lived, which we celebrated, there were still a lot of things that happened in my life that were impactful. So, for example, because my dad had a long road to recovery, he was out of work for 4 years. My mom was out of work for 2 years caring for him. Immediately, all of the creative things that I was involved in stopped. Why?
Mm.
Because there was no money for them any longer. And that was something that I didn't realize until much later in life, but I had this wound, this brokenness from that being stripped out of my life. And it was almost like I shut down to all things creative because it was protecting myself. Like, oh, I'm not going to be involved in that because it was taken away. Now, of course, I didn't have those conscious thoughts of this is what I'm doing, but that is literally what I did. I stayed out of, I mean, I still sang in choir at school, but anything that was extra over and above, like my piano lessons, my dance, my gymnastics. I used to do all these little, like, my mom would get me into candle making and all of these things that were happening in the community that I could no longer do. Piano lessons stopping, all things like that. So moving on, moving forward into life, that was something that, as I got older, left home, went to college, people would hear me, like they might hear me sing, be like, "Oh, why aren't you doing XYZ?" Or, I might write something like some poetry or something. "Oh, why don't you enter into this, thing over here?" And I would never do it. And I didn't even really understand why I wasn't doing it, but there was something from back then when I was younger that had, either that fear, that wall had been built up because of that breach of like this shift had to happen because of what was going on in my family. And I carried that with me. So I consider that like just a broken part of me. It was like the spirit of creativity in me was broken at that point. But the beautiful thing about it is that as I continued living and growing and evolving, God always had a plan of restoration. He always had a plan of restoring what was originally intended for me to grow and live and thrive in, right? And so this is so like, I started dating someone in college, and you know what? He was a creative. He was, I mean, he was spoken word, photography, drawing, singing, rapping, amazing. And what I did was I threw myself into support of him. It was too much for me to do the thing yet,
Mhm. Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I could support him, right? And so
Okay.
that was like step 1 of me kind of like entering back into that creative space, cheering him on, going to all the spoken word events, doing all the, going to the art displays that he put up. It was safe, and it was allowing me like that gentle step back in, right? Here's what happened. We we dated for a while, and after college we still were kind of in that young love of like, I'm not sure, are we getting married? I don't know what's going to happen. And I kind of went my way a little bit in getting my masters, and he went his way kind of trying to find, but we were still closely connected and still kind of having that, oh, I wonder what our future will look like. He was I got the phone call late one night from his mom. He was tragically killed in a
Oh my
train accident. He was walking along the tracks, and it was a valley where they sectioned the sound. And he did not, he and the friend that he was walking with
God.
did not hear the train, and they were struck from behind and they were both killed. So I remember getting that phone call, and I was like, it was like my whole world was ripped out of me. My future, it was like, because even though we were like, "Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I think maybe we're gonna do," it was like all of that was just it was just a void. And I remember, going to the funeral, being there with his parents and, just kind of trying to keep going. And I really started living like it was almost, well, not almost. I was living life going through the motions, right? I was just going through the motions because it hurt and it was like I was dazed and confused. And then one day, as he often, God had um spoken to me and like, Nicole, you cannot keep living this way. And I'm like, okay, you can't keep living this way. So what do I do? And what happened was random. It felt so random to me. It was not random, but it felt so random to me. Every, I would say every week, every other week, I would find myself in an art store. And
Mhm.
I had no idea what I was doing because back when I was little, when I was really into the arts and stuff, I wasn't hanging out in art stores and all of my stuff was directed by adults. They gave me the supplies, they gave me the direction. So now I'm in an art store and you could tell I didn't know what I was doing because I would pick up like a paintbrush and leave with like one paintbrush and a tube of paint. And it's like, okay. What do you do? And I would just take it home, and then, I would go back the next week or something, and I would be like, "Oh, that's a pretty color paint." I bit 1 tube of paint. "Oh, that's pretty." And I would take it, and I bring it home. And this went on for weeks, and by the year anniversary of his passing, I had a basement full of art supplies, canvases, paintbrushes, tubes of paint, and I spent that entire day, it's March 1st from morning until deep, deep, deep in the night, painting, singing, worshiping, dancing, doing all the things because God had led me to get these things. And that was the beginning, the genesis of the recovery of my creative spirit. And that's when I started dancing and singing and painting again. And it was still a journey from that point. There was still resistance. There was still like, all these things that I had to deal with in my mind and all of that. That was just the catalyst of opening the door, opening my heart back up to these things that I've always been created to do. I've always been a part of me. And that's like a piece of my mosaic puzzle. Um so that's that story. That's that one piece. That's that one part of the story.
It symbolizes to me like a jigsaw puzzle, okay?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like our lives, okay?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so traveling the world, I traveled to I worked in uh Germany for a little while. I
Mhm.
lived in this little village called Pusenheim. Oh, they have the best wine, okay? Oh my
Ooh.
God. Yeah, and they also have the best beer. They got the most hops, okay? They have this
Interesting.
particular season every year. I forgot what they call it. But you go there and you drink and you see people under the table. That stuff that stuff is potent. It'll knock you off your butt. I don't drink beer, but I'll drink some wine, okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
But and then also traveling through Israel, okay? Traveling through uh Egypt and traveling through Jordan, and what you see at the cathedrals and all of the churches is the mosaic. It's
Oh.
the centerpiece before you get, between, when you come in, you have the pews here, and you come
Mhm.
up the middle,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
centerpiece, you have the mosaic.
Oh,
And then
beautiful.
all the beautiful depictions and the glass stained
Mhm.
windows.
Mhm.
It's like you walk in and you're in heaven.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is
It
sacred when you talk about the mosaic.
yeah, it really is. It's so symbolic and, with all art forms, but this one in particular, I just feel it truly speaks. That's one of the things I always say, art speaks, art heals. It's just it's so alive, and there's so much that we can take from pieces of art, and not only the visual arts, but music and all of these things. That creativity is so powerful, and it's so healing, and it can be so unifying. And yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, when you were talking about your travels, it made me think of um, the first place that I actually fell in love with mosaics, and this was in Philly. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I don't live in Pennsylvania anymore right now, but I grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and my mom grew up in Philly. So I'm like an East Coast, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania girl. And in Philly, um, on South Street, there is a mosaic museum. So if you are in or near Philly and or you go to visit Philly, you've got to check out, just Google Mosaic Museum in Philly and it will come up. It is so beautiful. You walk in and everything, like the walls, they've just created it like you're walking through a mosaic. Right? The walls have mosaics everywhere. The tables, like, it's just phenomenal. And then you can go in and there's a little room where they tell you the history of mosaics and then the history of art in the city of Philadelphia. It's just really amazing. And any city that kind of champions art like that, I just find it so fulfilling, when you and it's so moving when you go in there and just see. I think there's a place in Houston that has, it's not necessarily mosaics, but it's these row houses, and each house is filled with art, different kinds of art that tell the history of the city of Houston. Like things like that. There's so many things that we can do with creativity to speak into what's happening in the world, or even your life, to speak your life. Like it's just beautiful. It really is.
It is, and one of the things that I recall the most, even after going through Jerusalem, you can spend weeks in Jerusalem, okay?
Mhm.
Walking the Station of the Cross, you
Mm,
know, and, you seeing all the mosaic and all around. It's just breathtaking. I just can't tell you. And,
mm.
the one that was really, symbolic to me when I went to the Inn of the Good Samaritan,
Oh, wow.
okay?
Mhm.
Okay, because of all the strangers. I don't have no family as far as I'm concerned, okay?
Mm,
Because I've always been helped by a stranger,
mm,
okay? And that was symbolic to me, and going through there and seeing all the mosaic. It was
mhm,
it just it just part of the healing, to
mhm,
have the chance to see the Sea of Galilee and where
mhm,
Jesus was baptized and
mhm,
John the Baptist. All of these things in the mosaic could just bring
mhm.
everything to life. And my
Yeah.
life has been so rich because of the places that I've been, because
Mm.
of the experiences that I had, because of the people that I met, like
Yes.
yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Okay?
even as you're talking, like, your life is a mosaic, right?
Oh,
All of the travel that you've done, everything that you've seen, everything that you've experienced all makes up this beautiful tapestry of who you are. And that is definitely what I try to encourage people with, especially when you're feeling down, depressed, sad, overwhelmed, feeling alone, all of these things. Like, I think sometimes life can be so heavy and so just you feel like you're in these tight places. Sometimes life feels that way, and you can feel stuck, you can feel burned out, you can alone, all these things. And sometimes it really does help if you are able to kind of look at the trajectory of your life. Look at where you've been. Look at where you've overcome, look at the wins, look at even the times that were hard, that were difficult, that you thought you wouldn't make it, but you're here, you're listening to me, you made it. Like, things may look differently than you anticipated them looking. I know my life looked extremely different than what I ever dreamt of in my 20s and my 30s. I'm 48 now, and my life does not look like what I thought it would look like at 48. It just doesn't. And sometimes if I sit in that space too long, it can be sad. It can be overwhelming. It can be like, oh, but I have to. And sometimes I'm in that space. Let's be real. Sometimes I am. But the thing that shifts me out of that is like all of the goodness, all of the beauty, all of the blessing, all of the gold that has come out of my journey that I have been able to overcome, the people that I have met, the opportunities that I have. Um, it's like remaining in this place of gratitude for all the pieces, all the things that I've been a part of, that I've experienced. Like I was saying earlier, so much loss, so much grief that I've experienced. And I can't say that I'm like thankful that I lost these people or these things. But what I'm thankful for is the way I grew. I'm thankful for the lessons I've learned. I'm thankful for the compassionate heart that I developed because of what I went through, because of the losses that I've experienced. And now, one of my loves in life, which I never thought, if you would have asked me back when his name was Ray, when Ray was hit by that train, if you would have asked me if I could see myself standing up in front of people, encouraging them, speaking to them, coaching them, training them on what grief could look like or how to overcome grief, I would have been like, absolutely not. And now it's one of the things that I do. I just did a grief workshop a couple weeks ago. I'm doing another grief workshop in a few weeks. And I absolutely love it. I love being able to sit with people who are experiencing some of the darkest times of their lives and hold their hands, hold their heart, hug their heart, and, let them be where they are, but also give them tools and strategies to help them keep living, and it's also, again, here's back to that whole mosaic, like the pieces of me, because my dad that I talked about earlier that I love so much, my dad was a chaplain. So what did he do? He sat with people in their pain, and he used to come home and talk to me and my sister and my mom and tell us the stories of families that he sat with, and the things that they feared, or things that they said, or how he encouraged them, or how they impacted him. And I remember as a young girl being like, oh, dad, another story. Like, it was just another story, another story. And I wasn't always comfortable hearing him talk about sitting with people who were in these the darkest periods of their life. But I now do it. And I do it in honor of my father. I do it as a part of his legacy. That's a part of my mosaic. Brokenness, out of that coming now beauty. Beauty for me to be able to be comfortable sitting with people in their pain, because we know that doesn't happen often. People are not comfortable with other people's pain. People aren't comfortable with people falling apart, with people expressing their anger, their rage, their frustration, their brokenness. People aren't always comfortable with that. But I I'm comfortable with it because it has been my life. It has been, you know, there's 3 significant losses in my life, and there are way more losses than that, but there are the 3 that I hold as, you know what, these losses dramatically shifted my life, my perspective, and my heart in a way that is undeniable, and unchangeable, and it has truly shaped the woman that I am. Those 3 losses. And they carry me into they've increased my capacity to be able to use my education and my skills because I'm trained therapist, coach, my doctorate is in leadership, it's in strategic leadership. And so I'm all about systems and organizations. And then I have the mental health side. But all of that aside, I've lived it. I have lived loss and losing someone who I thought was going to be my future, losing my dad, who was like bigger than life to me. And then the third one is a cousin who was like a brother to me, was murdered. And those 3 major losses have really just, as I said, shaped me. And they were devastating, shattered my heart. But I've taken those pieces and I am now operating in a way that I hope brings so much comfort, healing, peace, education to other people who might be experiencing similar situations.
Now, one of the things you talk about, we are
Mhm.
content creators.
Mhm.
I started off on Substack writing. I got
Mhm.
bored with it. Okay. So seriously, so I like,
Yes.
okay, it's got to be something else. That's not where my
Mhm.
passion is. People are like, when are you going to write? The last time I wrote an article was in July. Do I miss it? No, because I'm using my voice, my power to reach and expand.
Mhm.
Writing, it doesn't do it for me. And
Mhm.
if I put something out there like that, people are going to sense that she could have kept that. Okay, so what do I do instead?
Mhm.
Utilize my passion, my
Yeah.
power, my vision
Mhm.
to educate, okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
To uh, bring people to where they want and need to be,
Yeah.
okay? Where they want to be, okay?
Mhm.
But it's their choice, okay?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's something you develop over time. Okay, when I first came to Substack in November, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I think I know, but when you think you know, things change, and you have to
Mm.
change too. Okay,
Mhm.
because if you don't,
Absolutely.
you're gonna be left behind, and they're gonna say, "Margaret, who?"
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so we know we have to keep putting ourselves out there, be consistent. Okay, then I go back and do the replay. Okay, I could have did this a little bit better. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna beat myself up. It's just a lesson to
Mhm.
get me to where I want to be. Okay, so I started with that one article. Now I'm doing this today. Now, if you had told me a year ago I'd be this place, I'd say, hell no. Because I loved being behind the scenes. I'm like you. I'm a system thinker, left brain, and putting all these systems and things into place. That's what I do well. That's what I thought. Okay?
Mhm.
But really, no, because I was being called to speak to people, let the
Mm.
spirit move through me. And
Mhm.
and that is what I was supposed to do. Sitting behind a fucking computer, nobody know who you are. I don't buy from nobody from behind a computer. I don't know nothing about you.
Mhm.
Okay? Who are you? Where you come from? What are
Mhm.
your intentions? But if
Mhm.
you hear me and you see me, it's very evident.
Yes, we definitely know who you are, Miss Margaret.
But you see what I'm saying? In
Yes.
this crowded space, what's going to set you apart from all the other artists? What's going to set you apart from all the other poets? What's going to set you apart from all the other writers and everybody else that's utilizing their gift? You got to be loud, you got to be bold and unapologetic.
Yes. Yes, you do. You know, I think what you really have to do is the name of what you called this is own who you are. You have to own who you are. You know, eh, you are definitely bold, empowering. You show up and our attention is there because you come into the room and you are bold, right? but there might be someone else who their energy is maybe a little more, I don't know, it might be a quiet strength. It might be a quiet strength that they possess. It's all about figuring out what is your superpower. Like, I can't look at you and be like, "Oh, she's doing these talks and she's getting all these people to come on her lives and talk to her. I need to do that." Well, no, I don't need to do that unless that's what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people on here who love to write, and I like to read their writing. I love it. I have connected with some of the most amazing authors on here. I love reading what they have to say. And there are other people who I have connected with on here. They don't really want to write anything like you. They want to speak with their voice and that's what they want to do. There are some people on Substack that only use it for podcasting type purposes. It's really about what is it that you are called to do? How are you called to show up? Right? How are you individually called to show up? And what are your strengths and how can you lean into your strengths? Like, I think you were on my live the other day with my friend Jolene, who is a strengths coach. And, that conversation, it was so powerful because one of the things she said was like, she guys, just for frame of reference, I had on my channel um a strength finders coach. She's a friend of mine, and um we were talking about how to interpret the strengths. If you've taken strength finders, then you're familiar with what I'm talking about. There's 34 strengths. And she said all of the strengths are in you, but it's those ones that are at the top 10, top 5 area. Those are the ones that you can't necessarily turn on or turn off because they're so embedded in you. Those are the things that we need to figure out what they are. And the other thing that she said is a lot of times we don't know. We don't know intuitively. We're not necessarily paying attention to what it is that we do well and how we show up well. And that's something that we do need to do because when you tap into your authentic self, which include your strengths, your values, your how even down to how you appear, how you want to appear authentically, all of these things make up the essence of who you are. And when you tap in and lock into what that is authentically without caring about what whoever else is doing and what they're saying you should do and how you should show up and all that, lock in to your authentic self. That's when miracles happen. That's when suddenlies happen. You know how people are like, oh, she's an overnight success. She's not an overnight success. She's been working that thing and trying to figure out who she is. And like, one of my favorite examples of this is Tabitha Brown. Do y'all know Tabitha Brown? Tabitha
Yes.
Brown. Okay. Tabitha Brown. The, w- I the thing that I absolutely love about her story, like whether you know who she is or like her or not, this thing about her story is so powerful. Tabitha is from North Carolina. She had a dream to become an actress on stage and she was going to, be out in the movies, doing the TV shows, all the things, right? Took a leap of faith, moved to California so that she could pursue her dream, right? Gets out there with her husband. They're struggling. They don't have any money. Um, she ends up getting sick, like in her body, having all these pains um and I remember her talking about how she would go to auditions and she would try to mask her Southern accent. She would try to straighten her if you know who she has a big afro that she wears. She would straighten the afro because she's trying to fit in to what she felt would be acceptable in Hollywood or in these roles that she was going after, right? But then her body starts breaking down. She starts getting sick. She starts having all these pains. She's in bed and she is not able to function. God speaks to her and tells her that she needs to change how she's eating. So she starts doing that, right? And then he says, I want you to go live and I want you to tell people what you're eating. So she's going live to like one person watching, 5 people watching, 10 people watching. And she's just doing it consistently out of obedience, taking the step, right? And she's being an Uber driver because she doesn't have the ability to get the roles. She's not getting the roles. Then one day she tells people what she's eating, and she's eating a sandwich from Whole Foods, right? She tells people, you need to come try this sandwich. It's so good. Whole Foods sees it. They say, we need her to advertise our sandwich. That's the break. She was being obedient to what God spoke to her to do in her healing, in her process. And now, as she gets the Whole Foods deal and becomes the mega vegan person that she is, an influencer that she is, there was a process of her coming into authenticity because she now realized, oh, I don't have to hide how my voice sounds. I don't have to change my hair. I just show up authentically as who I am and share the message that I've been given. And that's when it all happens. Because if you don't know who she is and you don't know her backstory, it looks like, where did Tabitha come from? She's just blew up. She didn't just blow up. She step by step by step by step walked a journey of developing an authentic message through her life journey. And now she's everywhere. She's everywhere doing everything. And that is we all now we might not all be supposed to be like who she is and doing all the things that she's doing, but what we are supposed to do is be authentic to who we are. What we are supposed to do is not hide pieces of ourselves because we think they won't be accepted, right? You have permission to step into your fullness. You have permission to step and walk authentically who you were created to be. And when you do that, doors open. When you do that, people respond because they're responding to truth and who you are.
To also include what matters most in this process is being courageous.
Oh, it does take
Okay.
bravery. Mhm.
Yes. And
Mhm.
acceptance for who you are supposed to become.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't fight that
Mhm.
because because embrace it because
Mhm.
that's your exact destiny
Yeah.
that's calling for you.
Mhm.
Be obedient, like you said.
Mhm.
Responsibility. Take ownership of your choices, your
Mhm.
growth, and impact.
Mhm. Absolutely. Mhm.
Because otherwise, you're gonna be sitting on the sidelines, and everybody and you're gonna be left behind,
Mhm.
and you're gonna miss out your opportunity.
And
You're gonna say, "I should have tried that 20 years ago." You're gonna
mm,
have regret that you never tried it, and then it's too late.
mhm.
If you're on your deathbed, it's too late. Okay,
Mhm.
so start now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because remember, you're a piece of the puzzle. You're a piece the world. You're a piece. And we want your piece, right? Well, I want to see everybody's piece. I want to see everybody leave the mark that they're destined to leave on the world. And we certainly need positive lights. We certainly need that in the society that we live in today. We need people who are going to walk in bravery and going to be courageous to to spread light and love and compassion um, in a world that so desperately needs it.
especially now, okay,
Mhm.
with the
Mhm.
government shutdown. I don't know if it's on or whatever, because I cut that shit off because it's taking me down
Mhm.
a place that I'm not going.
Mhm.
Period. Don't let nobody take you where you don't want to go. Okay, you give up your
True.
power, that's where you're gonna end up. No, you're
Mhm.
not taking me there. You go there by
Mhm.
yourself. Okay, so why authenticity matters is because of well-being and engagement.
Mhm.
Okay, we have to have that um because for our overall well-being. Okay,
Mhm.
then we also have to look at the impacts of mental health and psychological outcomes
Mhm.
from the decisions that we make. We have to look at the impact. Every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you take this in
Absolutely.
consideration before you, okay?
Mhm.
Because it don't just impact you, it impact others.
Mhm.
Okay? And so the other thing that's important to remember is that authenticity and resilience. Okay?
Mm. Mm.
They go hand in hand, you know, and so we need to remain flexible and adaptable to changes that are constantly happening around the world, not just on a day-to-day basis, sometimes on an hourly basis. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you have to take pause, step back, take some breaths and say, okay, this is the way the world's going today. Do I need to go in that same direction? Is that going to help me? Need to do something else. They going to the left, I'm going to the right. Okay?
Mm.
Y'all go ahead and fall in the river if you want to, but I'm not going there with you. Okay?
Mhm.
You got to
Mhm.
stand for something or fall for anything. Right?
Absolutely. It's yes, absolutely, and it's funny that you mentioned the pause, because that's my word.
I know, right? You
No.
should what you call it? Uh I'll think of it. Copyright
Yes.
or something.
Yes, that is my word, and, um, actually right now, today what is today? Today is October 4th, I think, or 3rd? 3rd.
Third.
Today's
Third.
October 3rd, Friday, October 3rd, so we're in day 3 right now. Everybody who doesn't is not aware of this, I'm doing, a challenge right now. It's a free challenge. It's called, um, Sip from the Well, 10 Days of Pause. Sip from the Well. The Well is my membership group that is opening up later this month. And 10 Days of Pause is this free challenge that I've put out that each day we talk about a different way of pausing because the pause is so important, right? We live in such a hustle, grind, fast-paced society, um, and we often don't take time to pause, to breathe, as you said. We breathe shallow breaths, you know, we don't take time for that deep breathing, which can be so, healing and beneficial to our bodies and calming of our nervous systems, and so we're going through this challenge, and it has been so amazing so far. It's really been so amazing. But the reason why, let me tell you all, the reason why pause has become my word is because remember, we talked a little bit about 2020 earlier and all the things that have happened, but rewind to 2019 for me. In 2019, I was working as an intensive in-home family therapist, which meant that I was doing a lot of driving. I had to drive to my clients' homes. I did therapy sessions in the home, in the community, and it was a really intense job. And at that time, I was also a full-time doctoral student. And one day, I was driving well, I wasn't. We worked in teams of 2. So my therapy partner was driving, and I was in the front passenger seat, and we are going to get our girls, 2 sisters that we worked with, and we like to work with them in the community because they responded better. So we were going to their house, we were going to get them. We grabbed them, and one of them panics and is like, "I forgot," and there was something she desperately wanted to show us. So we decided to turn back around, go to her house so she could get this whatever it was that she desperately wanted to show us. As we're doing that, now we had to drive like almost an hour to get to them. So their community was not one that we were super familiar with. So as we're driving the car back to their house, my therapy partner comes to a four-way intersection, and it was kind of like a woodsy area. So all the trees were grown over and all of the stop signs were covered by trees. So she went through the stop sign. We got hit on our back bumper. Our car spun 3 times, and then we ran head first into a brick house. We have the girls in the back seat. So I'm like, "Oh my gosh," the girls are screaming. Um, my therapy partner, I can see the tears coming down, but she's calm, but I can see the tears. So I'm the only one who is not like crying in the moment. So I'm, getting out of the car, checking on the girls, making sure that, we call our supervisors because we're on the job. We've got to, all the things that goes with an injury on the job, and we've got to call the girls and moms, all these things. And so much adrenaline is going that I don't realize how hurt I am. Now, within 7 days from that accident, it was August of 2019, I had to be at my doctoral residency, which was 5 hours away from me. Y'all, can I tell you that not once did I think to call my program director and say, "Oh, I was in a bad accident. What are my options?" I didn't think about that. You know why? Because I had been living in patterns of just push through, just do, just go, just keep going, just get this done, just do this is what you said you're going to do. This is what you have to do. Keep going. It didn't even cross my mind to find out if there were options for me. And so I drove 5 hours in pain. I remember one of the sessions, I was laid out on the floor listening to the lecture on the floor in a neck brace. It was ridiculous. Very unwise. Don't recommend it. But when I came back, I did go to the hospital the same day. So I did do that. But they just said nothing's wrong with you and gave me some pain medicine. So I come home, the pain is getting increasingly worse. I still went back to work. I still tried to push through. I still tried to keep up with doctoral program, keep up with my clients. And one day I finally it was like I was in so much pain. People were looking at me like, "Nicole, what the heck? What are you doing?" And so I finally had one of those aha moments with God again, just like the last time when I was going to the art store all the time. This time it was, "Hey, you need to pause. You need to understand that you cannot keep going like this. You can't keep doing this." And so I had to sit there and think about what I was actually doing. And I was living in such a way that my life had no margins. My life had no margins. I wasn't resting well. I was eating like crap. I wasn't moving my body. All I was doing was going from patient to patient to patient to patient, homework assignment to this paper to that project. And I also had a sick mother. My mom had MS. So I was doing all of these things, trying to keep up with school, trying to take care of my therapy clients, trying to make sure mom is okay. And I had to make a decision. I could not keep doing that. And so that I ended up leaving the job because they tried to accommodate me, but really the expectation was you need to keep going at the same capacity that you've been going. That was really the expectation. And I needed my clients to have a therapist that was giving them their best, and I wasn't able to give them my best. So I ended up leaving that job and going into physical therapy. I was in physical therapy for 4 months. And as you all may know, the healing process is sometimes way more painful than the running into the house, right? So I'm in this physical therapy. The physical therapy days were hard and I was in pain and I was pretty much just laying there. I took a break from school, a very brief break from school as well. So there was a period where I had nothing other than take care of me and make sure mom was okay. And that was an amazing time. But what I call it now is my forced pause. It was a forced pause. And my passion and my message now is, what do we need to shift so we don't have to have forced pauses? Let's have some intentional pauses so that we can slow down and make some adjustments in our life so that we can look at the things that we're doing. I call it the three S's. What do we need to start doing? What do we need to stop doing? And where do we need support? Like, those are the three S's that I really focus on, and, like, what can we do? What we don't have to keep living life with no margins. We do that, and it's almost celebrated in the society that we live in. But I couldn't do it. And you know what was happening when I was living life with no margins? I wasn't I wasn't truly tapping into the passions and the desires of my heart. School, yes. I was very happy to be a part of school, and I love that I got that degree, but I needed to take that break. I needed to kind of refocus and renew my spirit because I had depleted myself. I had completely depleted myself, and now my goal is to live life in a way that I'm not having to constantly recover from my life. How can I set up my life so that I'm not constantly having to recover from it? That's what the pause challenge is about. That's what we're talking about in there. That's what I write about when I write, because often I'm like you, Miss Margaret. I'm like doing my little Monday calls. I go live every Monday. But I do love to write, and I am writing a book right now, and the book is about the pause. Like, it's about my story. It's about all the lessons I learned. It's about the different strategies and just things that I really do hope will inspire people to make shifts and changes in their lives because we're worth it. We are worth it. And not only are we worth it, the purpose that we're called to is worth us being healthy and whole and not burnt out, right?
Right, because we cannot give the quality to the world if we are burnt out. We can't
Mhm.
we can't pour from an empty cup. Okay?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So with all of this being said, authenticity versus self-esteem.
Mhm.
Okay? These things come together, as you said. Okay? If
Mhm.
you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect for others to believe in you and to follow you?
Mm.
You can, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You want to talk about
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I was just reading some of the comments because there's some really awesome comments in there.
Okay,
And
my
so
bad.
no,
My
I'm
bad.
sorry. I got distracted because
Please. No, please.
I was reading from Eric, who is a firefighter or former firefighter, and thank you for your service, Eric, and just saying that he's been through similar things. And um, I love reading some of the things that people are saying. And who is this? Um Lamar, I believe it is. Um, oh, that's beautiful. There's a life the heart wants to live that is not the same as thinking, planning mind had designed for us. I'm grateful I stayed alive long enough to get to live from my heart and not from society's plan for me. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I went back to read that. That's awesome. Like, live from the heart and not society's plan for me, because I love that, not society's plan for me, because the story I just told, how I had to leave the job. Everyone tried to talk me out of it. All my supervisors, everyone, because they're like, this is not what you said you want to do. You said you want to get your licensure hours. You said you want to do this, and you're going to waste all these hours. And I have this huge vision for having this restorative healing wellness center that I want to be out in the middle of, I don't know, nowhere, where people can come and retreat and we can do all these healing things and creative things together. And I remember, sharing little pieces of the vision, and they were like, "Well, you need to have an LPC on board," and that's what I was working toward at that time. I was working toward my licensure hours, an LPC, licensed professional counselor, and quitting that job was going to make it so that I was going to not be able to continue the process of those licensure hours, and, um, I lived in Pennsylvania at the time. Pennsylvania is, a little bit of a challenging state when it comes to licensures and things like that. So I was leaving the job was creating a challenge for me. And I remember a friend of mine, I was telling him what people were saying to me, and he was like, "You don't think God's big enough to connect you with some LPCs if you don't get your LPC?" Like, he was like, "You don't think that this whole big vision is, um, is a vision from God that he will provide the people necessary to run it? Like, if you're not getting the LPC right now and you never go back and get it, I'm sure that you're gonna know some LPCs that you can partner with who can come alongside and who can be on your board and who can help you do this and that." And that was just, I mean, it sounds so simple, but it was so freeing to my mind because people really were operating in fear for me of like, and not just fear for me, but thinking about their own lives and like what they, I felt like it was a lot of projection as well. Like, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do, and one of my supervisors even did tell me, he's like, you're so brave for prioritizing your wellness. And I was like, I guess. I mean, I don't want I listen, I understand the fact that I was losing an income. I understand that. And that is not something that we can just easily, I'm not saying that it was like a flippant decision or anything like that, but I would like us as a society to get to the place where it's not bravery to prioritize your wellness. I mean, it doesn't have to mean you quit your job. I'm not saying that everybody has to go out and quit their jobs, but I'm just saying like we have got to be able to value ourselves, our bodies, our minds, our spirits enough that we are willing to make some certain shifts and changes to prioritize our wellness because we only
And
get this one
sacrifices.
life. Yes, we only get this one body, this one life, this one time here to do whatever it is we want to do and to be with, and even if you don't have some huge major vision that you're trying to do you want to be with your family? Like you want to be able to enjoy life and, maybe travel, maybe you like I don't want us to like, and even when we're in some of the most difficult situations, like, because I always want to be careful and mindful that everybody is not in the same situation and that it is a privilege to be able to pause. Like I recognize that. So I'm not saying that everybody just has the ability to like take a nap or to do, or to, institute some kind of breathing or wellness or self-care. But what I have come to understand is that those of us that do have the privilege to be able to make certain sacrifices and shifts so that we can prioritize our wellness, you know what? We then could potentially create something, have plans, programs that help those people that don't have that privilege. Like that's one of the things that really drives me is like I understand that I'm privileged. I am. There's not I both my mom and dad were in the home with me. Both my mom and dad were sh- shepherding me as a child. That alone is what some people don't have or haven't had the privilege of having. I went to excellent schools. I recognize that not everybody has done that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, I don't want it to sound like I'm saying everybody should just, you know, think about yourself and prioritize your wellness and, make sure you get your rest. I am saying that I want you to get your rest, but there's so much power in a pause that that is not just about ourselves. It is if you if you can take the message of I need to pause so that I can recognize where I'm at, make the necessary shifts to get where I want to be with from a place of ease and abundance and alignment so that you feel good and that you have energy to do the things. If all of us that have the ability to do that did that, just imagine what things we could create in the world. What systems we could change in the world if we were thinking about ourselves in a way that filled ourselves, that we were prioritizing filling ourselves up, you know? We operate so much from places of depletion and emptiness and scarcity and in ways that we can't even tap into all that we're capable of. There's so we don't tap in. There's there's limitless possibilities, but we don't tap into them because we're so busy. We're so busy. And
Doing
sometimes
what?
sometimes we're just busy numbing ourselves. We're just busy escaping from life. And that's what I'm saying, like, I don't want us to have to do that. I want us to create patterns and systems for our own lives that we are like, yes, I'm excited to wake up this morning because what am I going to discover? What am I going to find out? What could I create today? Who am I going to meet today? What amazing new plant am I going to see in the world? I love plants and I could talk about plants forever, but like, I have plants all around me. I have about 84 right now, 84 houseplants, and there's so much that they speak to me, and that taking care of them fills me with joy. And so being able to tap back into some of the things that fill you with joy and peace. Like I coach people on a weekly basis, and when I ask them, what does self-care mean to you or what brings you joy? Um, they often can't tell me. They don't know. And they don't know because life has beaten them down. Life has tired them out. They haven't even had a moment to think about what brings them joy because of all the things that we deal with. Like, and it's real, like grief, job loss, all kinds of, hard things that happen. And that's why it is important to pause and to just kind of take a step back and take care of you, take care of your heart. It's not selfish, it's necessary.
This has been truly, truly powerful. So, some of the practical steps you've already mentioned that we need to do
Mhm.
is to clarify our values, okay?
Yes.
To monitor our expressions,
Mhm.
okay? Because that which we put out into the world comes back to us, okay,
Mhm.
tenfold.
Mhm.
Another thing is to set boundaries,
Yes. Mhm.
okay? We also need to reflect with self compassion. And
Mhm.
you talked about that. And we need to seek supportive networks from those around us, okay? Because that gives
Absolutely.
us the strength and the power and the courage to persevere
Yes.
through difficult times,
Mhm.
okay? So celebrate evidence of alignment.
Yes.
So, did you have any last minute thoughts? I want to see if there's any additional comments here that may have been not been captured.
Um, there's so many good I y'all, you guys are awesome. I'm sorry I didn't see some of the comments in real time, but I love reading y'all's comments, and please connect with me. Please message me, say hi. I would love to, say hi to you and chat with you. That's the thing I love about Substack. People are so genuine here, and I have had the most amazing time connecting with people, and learning about people and their stories and what they want to do in life, and it's just beautiful. So please do connect with me. But I think the last thing that I would say is just, you are worthy. Like, you are worthy of taking care of yourself. You are worthy of valuing who you are. You are worthy of the pause. Um, you are worthy of making certain shifts to prioritize your well-being. It is not selfish. It's necessary. And, you know, do it from a place of of love, peace, honor, and alignment. I think sometimes we get to places where we try to make these shifts and we're doing it because we've been hurt or we've been angry. And those are times when you need to do it. But I think you can do it with so much clarity when you do it in this intentional way of saying, you know what? It's time for me to make some changes. It's time for me to honor the man or woman that I am, that I have been created to be, and I want to live my life in a way that I don't have to continually recover from it. I want all of the things, all of the creative things, all of the pieces of me. I want them to shine. And that's what I want for you. So,
That is truly, truly powerful. I want to thank everybody. Eric Corner,
yeah.
the 9 to 5 Fixer,
Mm.
John Ronaldo, Jasmine, LP's Vibe, Eric Corner, uh, Elizabeth Brooks, um, La, Lama, Lamash, I can't pronounce that one. Armando, um, Mia, Jose, Dennis, Raul Joseph. Thank you so much. Lamar, I'll say Lamar, Brenda, Sherrod, S. New, uh, Gur, Gurtop. I can't pronounce that name. I'm sorry. Uh, Letitia Rice, Sam, Jackie Verbal. Thank you so much. Uh, Francisco, Thriving Minds, Laura, Andrea, Karen C, Katie, Steph, Saliman, Nasir. Thank you all so much
Yes,
for
absolutely.
coming in and enjoying us today. I saw another name, and I don't want to butcher people's name. Okay, but what part uh, what part of yourself have you been hiding
Mm.
to make others uncomfortable, and what would it look like to bring that forward this week?
Ooh. Mm. That's good.
Thank you all so much. We are truly blessed by this message from you. And you all know how to get in contact with me. So there it is.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure being with you, Margaret. I always enjoy you. As you know, I call you my little dose of energy, my little dose, my little power pill. I love it. So thank you for having me. It has been such a pleasure and an honor to be with you today.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I want to mention again that Dr. Nicole's picture is going to be for sale, and she's going to let us know when.
I
Okay, so we
promise.
can get
I
one.
promise.
Okay.
Yes.
It's powerful.
Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you
Uh,
so much.
all
All right.
right.
You all take care. Stay
Bye,
blessed.
y'all.
All right. Bye bye.